Okay, we're going to talk about the James Baroud Evasion, and this is the small version, so it's the Evasion S, but it's the same as any of the others, and probably the same as the wedge style as far as putting it down. When I first got mine, I had the hardest time shutting it because it just was too thick and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I figured out some trips after I've now used it on a couple of big trips. I've figured out a few tips that make it really easy to put down. And so I thought I'd just show you those. And I'm gonna just go through. Got my sister here to help me film a little bit. So on mine, and yours will be easier if your car is lower or if it's on a trailer, it'll be much easier because you can get some weight. Mine is up there pretty high. So what I do is I usually put my, here, I'll show you inside really quick. And this is gonna be, so one of the things you wanna do is make sure that your ladder and your bedding is off the side. Those poles that pull down have got to fit in right here as they fold down. And then the tent needs some space around the edges. So I make sure my bedding is a few inches off the side. But you can see I shut it with pillows and everything else in there and a down comforter. But you want to make sure that everything is probably 6-8 inches off the side, so that it makes it easier to close. And then, as you'll notice, this Velcro that keeps the window closed is really wide, and that's really important, and they've done that on purpose. And you'll also notice it continues, I'm horrible at this angle, it continues inside the tent. This piece out here is for closing it when it's raining or whatever, but this piece inside here, right here, becomes really important when you're closing it. So I'm going to go over some of that as I get someone to help me hold the camera here. And I'll hand it back. So what we want to do is reach up in here, and if it's lower, it's much easier. But you want to pull your legs down, and then on your windows, you want to be able to. There's your little tabs in there, and your instructions say to pull the zippers down. I pull them down a little bit, and I'll ask Sally to film this. I pull them down a little bit below the seam. And you'll see that there's Velcro right here. You want to attach that Velcro like that. And it's a little bit down the seam. This elastic right here is what sucks everything in, or tries to. It's not super strong. But then the important trick is these doors, you want to put them inside. So if you can see, I'm putting this on the Velcro that is inside the tent, so that this piece is exposed. When this comes down, this is going to fold under like that. And so if this door is out here, there's too much to try to fit in here, and it won't fit up in there. And so you do that with both sides. I've already done the other side. And then if you have an SUV, if you have a tailgate, that's perfect for a truck. But if you have an SUV, I would definitely get some sort of a step for the back of your trailer hitch. It just makes it that much easier to climb up on. So, make sure your zipper is right there, no more, load less. Make sure these are Velcroed in. And then again, you want to put this on the inside of the window. And you want to do that Velcro because it keeps any water that might be on here, if this is wet or whatever, this will give it a channel to stay outside the tent instead of running into your bedding. And so that's important. So then what I always do is I always pull the back down first, just a little bit, and I'll show you why. it'll pop back up, but you kind of get it used to going backwards, because when I come up here, of course Wes is going to be in the way.
Wes.
So
Good boy,
when
good
I come
boy.
up here, and there's a strap on the other side, I don't think it matters which side you pull down on. I just grab these. But when I pull down on this, it wants to pull forward like this, and it's a pain. You've got to kind of push it back. So if you've pulled that back down first, it makes it a little easier. So while I'm up front here, I will take and make sure I push all this tent as much as I can forward. And you can see I'm hitting the leg right here, but I want to push all of that as much as I can. And then, and I've got a fairing on here, so it's a little tighter, but then I just clip the front like that. Don't close it all the way, but just clip that front. I'm gonna go do it on the same on the other side. And you just want to make sure all of that stuff is nice and tucked as far in as you can. And then just leave those open. And then while I'm over here, I just try to make sure all that stuff is tucked in. Then when you come in the back here, then it's super easy. Use your strap, pull down, and then just tuck this stuff under. Again, if this is lower, it's way easier, but even with this being as tall, because I've done that work up front, I can reach and grab everything. And then I'm going to pull down, and then I'm going to tuck my strap, and I tuck it all the way under here. Give everything one more last look. Make sure everything is closed up. And then you got to give it a little bit of crank there. And then just go ahead and close up the back. And then you can come up here and pop the front closed. And that's it. Just wanted to show you that trick with the windows and making sure all that stuff is Velcro on the inside. Makes it way easier. And then also, as you can see with the contour, put your pillows and stuff towards the back. Make it a little easier to close, and then keep your stuff about 8 inches off the side. Thanks.